Hey y'all, I am Helena Dior, aka Nina, author of No Longer Sharecropping Shame, founder of Helen's Help Center, and co host of the Speak My Peace podcast. I help others shine their light by transitioning hate to hope and experiences to enlightenment through shared expression and truthfulness. I am a survivor of childhood trauma and abuse, and I openly share my experiences coping with and healing from such a life. So, y'all remember that song from church when we were little, This Little Light of Mine? I remember my grandma teaching me that song, and I remember singing it around the house with her, singing it at Sunday school and vacation Bible school and other kid activities. And when I sang it then, of course, I didn't know what I was singing. I just sang the words like all the other little people around me, but now I know different. We all have a light, and we have to intentionally make sure that it shines. It is so easy to have life try to cover our lights, try to dim them, try to diminish them, but it's a constant conscious effort to make it shine. When things happen to us and times where I feel like I'm minimized or I'm victimized, it's so easy to take that light and turn it down more and more. Like those old school lamps you put kerosene in with a little knob on it. Bad things happen and I just want to disappear, and I turn it more and more and more just to fade away. Something that I have to tell myself all the time: I'm not what happened to me. I'm not a victim. I'm nobody's victim. It's a daily effort to remind myself of those things. And some days are way more difficult than others. But in a lot of situations that I've been in where people have tried to put my light out, that used to make me so mad and so upset. Now I look back at them and I'm like, yo, I was going to let that take me out. But when I was in it, it felt like I could never get out. Like I was stuck in it forever. But then when I look back and I see how far I've come and like how many situations I've overcome, it's just like some the things that you think you can't get out of and then you do. Like that's a victory. Something that's on my to-do list, I'm going to write a list of everything that I felt, all the moments where I felt like I was stuck, where I felt like life is not supposed to be this hard, where I felt like I could never get out of it. And I'm going to write them all down. So when I'm feeling discouraged, I can just pull out that paper, look at my list, and see how far I've come. Even when it doesn't feel like it, we're stronger than we think. Like we're stronger than we give ourselves credit for. Like for myself. So like you're in a relationship and you fall in love with this fool and you get married, or you're in a long-term relationship. You've planned your wedding, you named your kids, you went on family vacations in your head, and you just want to be happy and do life with them. Then the dummy cheats on you. And you're heartbroken and you're crying and carrying on, and you delete his pics from your phone and you kick him out. You tell him you can't stand him or his funny looking mother. So he calls you a couple times and he says something he knows you want to hear because he's a manipulator, and you let him come back. And then you're booed up on the couch, watching movies, carrying his mama to the market again. And then he does it again. There have been times where at that point I was done. But then there were other times where I went through the same cycle again until I was Miss Celie Low with how I felt about myself. In the beginning of the movie, before Suge and Miss Sophia and Celie getting her strength, and my situation ended the same. It always ended negatively. And I would cry and I would listen to Keisha Cole and emotionally eat a whole bunch of desserts. And then time passes and you feel better. You look better. You are better. And you see that fool again. And you look at him like, what was I thinking? Like, why was I crying over you? Like, had me out here looking stupid, putting up with all that for what? Sidebar though. So I've been married, I've been divorced, I've been involved in relationships that expired, that I kept holding on to, and no shade to any of them. But looking back, why was I so torn up inside over grown men that had to move out with black garbage bags? How do you get my tears and you ain't got luggage? Anyway, every bad moment within those relationships, every time that scumbag put me through something, it helped me to realize what I don't want. It let me know how I don't want to feel again. So at the time, it felt like the worst situation when it ended, even though I knew the entire time I wasn't supposed to be in it. it still hurt. But other painful moments and situations that we have that have more lasting effects on us, like traumas and things like that, they can be repurposed. So for me, I was in a long-term relationship that wasn't good. It was awful. The amount that I would put up with, the lying, the cheating, domestic abuse, every type of red flag, like they were waving, they were lit up with arrows pointed at them, and whenever we split up, I would take him back. Physically, we had a lust-filled connection, but outside of that, it wasn't too much special about him. I'm sure he's special to some other woman or three. He's special to his mama, but it was nothing that made me staying with him make sense. Nothing. But my breaking point with him was when I found out that he was a rat. Not like assisting your neighborhood or assisting your community with a crime and helping a victim's family. It wasn't like that. This fool was like Nino Brown in the witness stand in New Jack City. Because he's in trouble. He's going to take everybody with him. He's going to put stuff on other people when they didn't have nothing to do with it. And that was what it took for me to finally not look back. To run, to not look back, to not turn into a pillar of salt. Him ratting to the feds. Ain't no coming back from that. None. And it took me real years to realize what I already knew about him. I couldn't trust him. But he didn't value me. I didn't value me. I didn't see anything good or redeeming about me, and I put up with it. That was the most delayed reaction I've ever had in my life. But that ratting, that was a quick decision. Let me help you pack up that garbage bag and get out. But another example of how pain can be repurposed, like I was molested as a child, and I talked to my daughter about it. I'm open with her to the degree that she can handle about what happened to me, so she's aware. My molestation happened by a family member. My abuses happened by family members. And we teach our children to be careful around strangers and people that they don't know. But my monsters were family. Well, we were related because family is a word that's misused and abused. But I need her to be aware because just because it's a person close to you, a nice person, a person you believe shouldn't hurt you, there are no guarantees when it comes to people. I didn't grow up having a good relationship with my biological mother. Even now, I don't. So I try hard to be mindful of how I'm interacting with my kid because there are some times where I have to catch myself because I can feel the possibility of repeating certain aspects of my childhood. And I know the long-lasting effects that it's had on me, and I don't want to repeat it. A lot of adults in my life did what was done to them, and I know it happens. And hopefully this doesn't sound too judgmental, but if it does, it does. When you aren't aware and you repeat things, you weren't aware. Things are repeated, you never really put too much thought into it. But when you are aware, why are you still doing the same thing? You know how something feels firsthand. You just shouldn't. Like certain mistakes shouldn't be repeated within the same lifetime. And when you know better, you do better. All of those negatives, all of that hurt, all of that pain, all of that fear that comes with it, it's our fuel. It's what we're going to take and we're going to pour it into that lamp so you keep that light shining. So everything around you, everything you touch, every life you encounter becomes brighter. Darkness can't extinguish light, period. It's impossible. If you're somewhere completely dark and there's the slightest sliver of light, it's noticed. That light is going to be seen regardless of how much darkness is there. It's the same with your internal light. Regardless of how much adversity, how much darkness enters, your light can still be seen. Even when it feels like it's all the way out, it's not. As much as like people, I feel like certain people just want to hurt me. Like people who want to talk trash about me and literally hope and pray for my demise. It's okay. Let them. Misery loves company, and some company just ain't worth keeping. They can't put my light out. They ain't got a heaven or a hell to put me in. And when I've been tested over and over and over again, it's just added to my testimony and made it that much stronger to help someone else brighten their light and refuel, to help myself heal and refuel. And it's not something that's been easy for me at all. Every day gets better. Like even when it feels like it's not, it is. We just have to move intentionally. We have to move purposefully. I'm learning now that power is made perfect in weakness, and it's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to feel emotions in our healing process, but we cannot live in those moments. Use those memories. Like I have to use those memories for my motivation. I have to use the pain for my purpose, and I have to use that fear for my fuel to keep going. So, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all next time. Peace and blessings.